Welcome to Facts to Relax, a quiet space at the end of a long day where you can gently let everything go. There is nothing you need to solve, nowhere you need to be, and nothing expected of you in this moment. Allow your shoulders to soften, your jaw to unclench, your breath to slow just a little. Inhale slowly and exhale even more gently. Let the day drift further away with each breath out, like distant waves fading into the night. Here, you can simply listen and rest your mind as calm, quiet stories unfold, guiding you toward stillness, toward ease, and toward a peaceful sleep. Tonight, we drift gently back in time to an age of wooden ships, quiet oceans, and unknown horizons. An age when maps were incomplete, and the edges of the world seemed to fade into mystery. This is the story of the discovery of the New World, told softly, like waves against the shore. In the late 1400s, Europe was a place of curiosity and quiet ambition. Merchants and explorers dreamed of distant lands filled with spices, gold, and new possibilities. Travel overland along routes like the Silk Road was long and difficult. Sailors began to wonder, what if, instead of going around the world, they could cross the ocean? At that time, many believed the earth was round, but few truly understood just how vast it was. The ocean, known as the Atlantic, was wide, deep, and filled with uncertainty. Sailors spoke of strange currents, endless waters, and winds that could carry a ship far beyond return. Among those dreamers was a man named Christopher Columbus. He was not a king, not wealthy, but he carried a quiet certainty. He believed that by sailing west, he could reach Asia. A bold idea, simple in thought, yet immense in its risk. For years, he asked for support. Kings and queens listened, but many turned him away. They feared the distance, the cost, and the unknown. Finally, in the Kingdom of Spain, he found his chance. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand agreed to support his journey. 3 ships were prepared, small by today's standards, yet strong enough to face the open sea. Their names were gentle, almost poetic: the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Each ship carried sailors, supplies, and quiet hopes. In August of 1492, they set sail, leaving behind familiar shores and drifting into the vast blue horizon. At first, the journey was calm. The wind filled their sails, and the ocean stretched endlessly before them. Days turned into nights, and nights into days. The rhythm of the sea became their world. But as time passed, doubt began to grow. The sailors watched the horizon day after day. No land appeared, only water and sky. Some began to worry. Had they gone too far? Would they ever return home? Columbus remained steady. He listened to the wind, watched the currents, and studied the flight of birds. Small signs that land might be near, floating branches, drifting leaves, clues carried gently across the water. Then, on a quiet night in October, a sailor aboard the Pinta saw something in the distance, a faint shape, dark against the moonlit sea. It was land. In the early morning of October 12th, 1492, they reached the shore, soft sand beneath their feet, after weeks upon the ocean. The air was warm, the land lush and green. This was not Asia, as Columbus had believed, but a place entirely unknown to Europeans, an island in what we now call the Caribbean. The people who lived there had their own lives, their own stories. They welcomed the travelers with curiosity and calm generosity, a meeting of worlds, different cultures, different languages, different understandings. Columbus continued to explore, moving from island to island. Each place revealed something new. Clear waters, dense forests, and skies that seemed to stretch forever. Though he believed he had reached the edges of Asia, he had, in truth, opened the door to an entirely new continent. News of the journey spread slowly, carried by returning ships. Across Europe, people listened with quiet amazement. A new world across the ocean, a place of unknown lands, an endless possibility. In the years that followed, more voyages began. Explorers crossed the Atlantic, tracing new routes, mapping distant shores. The world, once thought small and familiar, was suddenly much larger, more complex, more connected. But like many moments in history, this discovery carried both wonder and consequence. Cultures met and sometimes clashed. Lives were changed in ways both gentle and difficult. History is often a mixture of light and shadow. Yet in this quiet telling, we simply observe the courage of sailing into the unknown, the stillness of the ocean, stretching in every direction, and the moment when land appeared where none had been seen before. Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden ship, the soft creak of the boards beneath your feet, the wind brushing gently past the endless horizon, and then, far in the distance, the quiet outline of land. A discovery not just of place, but of possibility. A reminder that beyond what we know, There is always more waiting. As the ships eventually turned home, they carried with them more than supplies. They carried news of lands unseen by Europe. When Christopher Columbus returned to Spain in 1493, he brought stories of islands rich with natural beauty, bright birds, unfamiliar plants, and people whose lives had developed far from European influence. He also brought small items, gold ornaments, and new crops. These objects, simple as they seemed, captured the imagination of those who saw them. Soon, more expeditions were planned. Ships returned across the Atlantic, not once, but many times. Columbus himself would make 4 voyages in total, each one exploring further and adding new pieces to Europe's understanding of the wider world. Over time, other explorers followed, among them Amerigo Vespucci, who began to understand that these lands were not part of Asia, but something entirely separate. A new world. Maps slowly began to change. What had once been empty ocean was now filled with coastlines, islands, and new names. Cartographers carefully sketched these discoveries, turning uncertainty into knowledge. The Atlantic Ocean, once feared as an endless barrier, became a pathway, connecting continents and shaping the course of history. Trade routes expanded, new goods traveled between worlds. Foods like maize, potatoes, and tomatoes would eventually transform diets across Europe. In return, European animals, plants, and customs crossed westward. This exchange would come to be known as the Columbian Exchange, a movement of ideas, goods, and living things between 2 worlds that had long been separate. The discovery of the New World was not a single moment, but the beginning of a long and unfolding story. A story of exploration, of encounter, and of a world becoming more connected than ever before. From that first distant sight of land to the gradual mapping of entire continents, the unknown became known, step by careful step, and the maps of the world were forever changed. As this quiet moment comes to an end, there is nothing you need to do and nowhere you need to go. Let your breath remain slow and gentle, steady and calm. Inhale softly and exhale even more slowly. Feel your body becoming heavier, more relaxed with each breath out. If your thoughts begin to wander, just let them drift like clouds passing quietly through a still sky. You can stay here for as long as you like, resting, breathing, unwinding. And as you continue to relax, allow yourself to gently drift into a deep, peaceful, sleep. Good night.